Welcome to your personalized deep dive. So you want to be a millionaire, huh? You send in Vincent E. Bradford's book, Anyone Can Become a Millionaire, and, well, we're going to help you get there. One thing, though, something that really jumped out at me, the author, he keeps talking about putting fish back in the lake. What does it even have to do with money? So that's exactly what we're going to unpack today.
I'm intrigued. Yeah, definitely a unique way to think about finances. I'm excited to dive in.
We'll be breaking down the different types of millionaires out there.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, we'll explore Vincent's favorite cash flow strategies. He talks about everything from real estate to even subscription businesses. So lots to cover there. And we'll even try to demystify some of those tricky tax tips, you know, the kind that could potentially save you some serious cash. And, of course, our expert is here to add their valuable insights and, you know, help us connect all the dots.
Absolutely. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so maybe let's hold off on the whole fish thing for just a second and start with Vincent's own story. It's honestly a pretty wild ride, just to set the stage here. He starts out in Jonesboro. It's a small town, really big on community. I loved that little anecdote about his grandmother. You know, she was always calling his mom, asking her to send that little boy over. Really gives you a sense of those close family ties.
Yeah, for sure. I think knowing that adds a lot of depth to his advice, don't you think? It shows he's not just some, out-of-touch expert. He's actually been there, lived through the ups and downs.
Exactly. And talk about contrast. I mean, the guy goes from this small-town life straight to the craziness of California. He gets into football, experiences that whole thrill of competition, then boom, serious adversity hits. Even some legal troubles. It definitely wasn't a straight shot to success for him.
It's true. It's fascinating how all those experiences kind of shaped his view on wealth. Reading the book, you can tell it's not just about stacking Benjamins for him. It's about the whole journey, the lessons you pick up, and the impact you make on the people around you.
It makes the whole idea of millionaire feel a lot more human, a lot more attainable. And speaking of different paths, Vincent talks about 4 main types of millionaires.
Oh, yeah.
We've got virtual millionaires, cash flow millionaires, liquid millionaires, and asset millionaires. He breaks down, all the pluses and minuses of each, but you can definitely tell he has a favorite.
Yeah, I was going to say, he seems pretty clear on that.
He is all about the cash flow millionaire. Vincent really believes that steady income, that's the key. Not just having a bunch of money just sitting around, You want your money working for you.
So true. That's a great way to put it.
But how do you actually make that happen?
Yeah.
Well, that's where Vincent dives into all these different cash flow strategies. He's super into real estate, especially something he calls house hacking. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, I've heard of it. It's a pretty clever strategy, especially if you're just starting out. Basically, you buy a multifamily property, live in one of the units, and then rent out the others.
So smart.
And then that rental income, that can help you cover your mortgage payments, sometimes even make a profit on top of that. It's like you're building equity and earning passive income all at the same time.
Exactly. And it makes that whole $1 million goal feel a little less, intimidating. You're not just waiting and hoping for a lottery win. You're actively building this system. A system that's designed to, bring in money consistently.
Right.
Kind of like dividend paying stocks, which Vincent talks about quite a bit too.
Ah, yes. Those are a classic for a reason. Imagine having a whole portfolio of stocks and it's paying you regularly, like clockwork. It's like a paycheck. But without the actual work, that's the beauty of dividends.
It really is.
And then if you reinvest those dividends, it creates this amazing snowball effect where your money's constantly compounding and growing.
It's like they say, let your money work for you while you sleep. But the cool thing is, Vincent doesn't just stop at real estate and stocks. He even gets into subscription businesses. That example he gives about getting just 50 customers to pay you $100 a month, that one really stuck with me. It breaks down this huge, daunting goal into these smaller, more manageable steps.
Yeah, I agree. That's a really good example. It really drives home the point that you don't need millions of customers to be successful. You don't need to be like Amazon or something. Yeah. You just need a good product or service, something people are actually willing to pay for consistently.
Absolutely. Now, he also encourages using debt strategically to kind of fuel that growth. I think that concept can be a little scary for people.
It can be, yeah. Debt can be a scary word.
But Vincent argues that it can actually be the tool, if you use it the right way, of course.
I think the key takeaway there is education. Educate yourself. Learn about the different types of debt, interest rates, and how to manage it all effectively. It's not about avoiding debt entirely. It's about making it work for you, not against you.
Really good point. You know what really impressed me? Vincent doesn't shy away from those more like advanced cash flow strategies. Like he talks about private lending. You basically become your own bank. You're lending money to other people or businesses at a set interest rate. Well, that's a whole other conversation. And then there's tax optimization. That's a biggie.
Huge.
Yeah, and it's something that so many people just completely overlook. But Vincent, he digs deep into strategies like 401ks, those 529 plans for education savings. And even, have you heard of the 1031 exchange?
I have, yeah. That one can be a lifesaver.
It's a way to defer those taxes when you sell certain types of property. It gets complicated, but it's worth looking into.
Absolutely. Taxes are a big part of the equation.
So basically, being smart about your taxes, that can put more money back in your pocket.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you can reinvest that money and make it grow even faster.
It's all connected.
Right. Like this financial engine.
Mm-hmm.
All these different parts working together.
I like that analogy.
To generate wealth. But I think what really sets Vincent apart is how he brings in this idea of, putting fish back in the lake. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I've been waiting for us to circle back to that because it seems like that's kind of core to his whole philosophy.
Yeah, it's not just about taking. It's about giving back, creating that cycle of abundance.
And that leads perfectly into something else he talks a lot about, IUL insurance.
Okay, so we've got IUL insurance to unpack, dividend-paying stocks to discuss further, and we can't forget that tax lien strategy, which is honestly super intriguing to me. We'll dive into all of that when we return for part 2, so don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. Ready to dive back into Vincent E. Bradford's world. We've got a lot more to uncover in Anyone Can Become a Millionaire.
I'm ready. Last time we were about to explore IUL insurance, and I have to say, that one kind of threw me for a loop.
Yeah, insurance isn't exactly the first thing that pops into your head when you think about getting rich, right?
Definitely not. I usually think of it as more of a, safety net.
It is, for sure. But Vincent presents IUL insurance, that's Indexed Universal Life Insurance, as something different. It's like a tool. You can actually grow your money and protect your family at the same time.
Okay, color me intrigued. How does that even work?
So with IUL, part of what you pay, your premium, goes toward that death benefit, like regular life insurance. But here's the twist. A chunk of it also gets invested, and those investments, they have the potential to build cash value over time.
So it's kind of like a hybrid. Part insurance, part investment account.
You got it. And one of the big perks, the cash value grows tax deferred. So you're not paying taxes on those gains until you actually take the money out. Huge advantage, especially if you're in a high tax bracket.
So basically you're letting your money grow tax-free, potentially for years, and that can really boost your returns in the long run. Makes sense. But Vincent also mentioned something about IUL insurance being tied to, market indexes. I didn't quite catch that part.
Right, so that's where it gets really interesting. The growth of your cash value, it's actually linked to how a specific market index performs, like the S&P 500, for example. So if the market's doing well, your cash value could grow along with it, but there's a safety net, a floor built in.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the market takes a dip, your cash value won't actually lose money.
Okay, so you get to ride the market wave when it's up, but you're protected if things go south.
Mm-hmm.
That does sound pretty tempting, especially for someone like me who's not a big risk taker. Is there a catch I should know about?
Well, you got to remember that IUL insurance is a long game, not a get-rich-quick scheme. It takes time for that cash value to build up, and it's not as easy to access as, say, money in your savings account. If you need to withdraw cash, there might be penalties.
Right, that makes sense. It's not a magic solution. It's more about building that solid foundation,
Yeah.
right? Like we were talking about earlier with Vincent's overall philosophy.
Exactly. He's all about creating wealth that lasts, not just chasing quick wins.
Sustainable wealth, I like that. And that brings us to another one of Vincent's favorites, dividend-paying stocks.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget those. He calls them your personal ATM for a reason.
You know, when I first started investing, I was all about stock prices going up, buy low, sell high. You know the drill.
Yeah.
But Vincent really opened my eyes to the whole dividend thing.
It's a game changer. Imagine a bunch of stocks consistently paying you dividends month after month. It's like a passive income stream. He even has this challenge in the book where he wants you to figure out how much you need to invest to basically cover all your monthly expenses with just those dividends.
It really makes you think, right? It forces you to get specific about what you want and how those dividends can help get you there. But he doesn't just say, go buy any dividend-paying stock, does he?
Nope, not at all. He's big on research. You got to look at the company, their track record, make sure those dividend payments are consistent. He says invest in quality companies. The kind that are likely to keep those dividends coming for years to come.
Solid advice. And once you find those good companies, he's a huge fan of dividend reinvestment plans, or DFRIPs.
DFRIPs are amazing. It's like putting your investments on autopilot. Those dividends buy more shares automatically, and it just keeps building and building.
It's that compounding magic again, working its wonders.
Exactly. Most brokerage accounts even have it as a feature. Super easy to set up.
So we've got these different strategies, and they all kind of build on each other, create this momentum like a financial snowball.
It's all coming together, right?
Okay, so I want to switch gears a bit and talk about something that really caught my eye in the book. Tax liens.
Ah, yes. This is where things get a little more adventurous.
I have to admit I had no idea what a tax lien even was before reading this.
They're definitely off the beaten path. So a tax lien, it's basically a legal claim. It gets put on a property when the owner doesn't pay their property taxes. And guess what? Investors can buy those liens.
Hold on, so you're buying the debt on the property.
Yep. And if the owner still doesn't pay up within a certain time frame, the investor, the one who bought the lien, they could actually end up owning the property.
Wow, that sounds potentially amazing, but also kind of scary, right?
You got to be careful with this one for sure. It's not a strategy you just jump into blindly.
What are some things people should watch out for?
Due diligence is key. Research that property, figure out what it's actually worth. You got to understand the local laws, the whole foreclosure process.
So maybe not a beginner strategy then?
Probably not. But if you do your homework and you're comfortable with some risk, it could be a way to get properties at a steal.
I can see why Vincent highlights it. Big potential returns, but proceed with caution.
Exactly. Get some professional advice if you need to. Don't go in alone.
Now, shifting gears again, Vincent spends a good chunk of the book talking about business ventures. And he has this interesting take. It's not just about selling a product. He says you got to establish points of distribution. What does he mean by that?
He's basically saying, don't just create a product and hope people stumble upon it. You gotta be strategic. Figure out how to get your product in front of the right people, create multiple channels,
So it's like building a network, a system that constantly feeds your business.
Exactly. And he uses this great example in the book, The Financial Landscape of Women.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
He finds the specific group, women facing financial challenges, and he figures out how to reach them.
Right. He talks about this free ebook all about financial solutions specifically for women. You give away something valuable, build trust, and then boom, you're the expert.
It's a smart play. He's building relationships, not just trying to make a quick sale.
And then once you have that loyal audience, you can offer them more, right?
Products, services, whatever they need. It's all about that long-term approach.
Makes sense. Vincent is full of these great insights. There's one line that really hit me. People don't get to $1 million because they don't do the math.
So true. He's calling us out. We got to be realistic, actually crunch the numbers, make a plan. Dreaming about being a millionaire is fun, but you got to put in the work.
And he actually gives you the tools to do it. Remember that example where he breaks down how to earn $50,000 a month?
It's like a step-by-step guide. He shows you how to figure out sales volume, how many sales reps you need, even the importance of training and leadership.
It's like he's handing you the blueprint.
And suddenly that $50,000 a month doesn't seem so impossible. He breaks it down into bite-sized pieces.
And while we're on the topic of managing things effectively, let's talk about debt. Vincent doesn't sugarcoat it. He knows debt is a reality for a lot of people, but he's all about managing it wisely.
Right. He lays out those two popular methods, the snowball and the avalanche. The snowball, you pay off your smallest debts first, regardless of interest rate. Get those quick wins, build that momentum.
It's all about the psychological boost, right?
Exactly. It keeps you motivated. And then there's the avalanche method. You tackle the debts with the highest interest rates first, no matter how big or small they are. Save money in the long run.
So it really depends on your personality and your situation.
Like so much of Vincent's advice, he gives you the options, but you gotta personalize it. Find what works for you.
He also stresses starting early, with retirement planning. Even if right now you're focused on becoming a millionaire, that future you will thank you for starting early.
The sooner the better. Compound interest is your best friend when it comes to retirement.
And Vincent explains compound interest so well. He uses this analogy. It's like a snowball rolling down a hill, growing bigger and bigger as it picks up more snow.
Love that analogy. Those small contributions, they add up over time. It's like magic, but it's actually math.
And to tie it all together, Vincent talks a lot about budgeting and forecasting. Got to have that roadmap, right?
Absolutely. Know where your money's going, anticipate those future expenses, manage that debt proactively.
It's all connected.
It's a system, a financial ecosystem. All the parts working in harmony.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, that idea of compartmentalizing.
This is where Vincent's philosophy really shines.
Welcome back. So we're wrapping up our deep dive into Vincent E. Bradford's Anyone Can Become a Millionaire. We've covered a ton of ground, from cash flow to investments, taxes, even those tax lieners. But I really want to circle back to this idea of compartmentalizing. It seems like it's a pretty big deal for Vincent, like a core part of his whole approach.
It is, yeah. He really sees it as almost like a secret weapon, especially when it comes to building wealth and achieving success in business.
Okay, but what does he actually mean by compartmentalizing? I think some people might hear that word and think of, those plastic containers you use to organize your fridge.
Actually, that's a perfect analogy. Think about it. You just toss all your groceries in the fridge, no organization, it's chaos. But when you use those little containers, those compartments, you create order. You can find what you need. Everything stays fresh longer.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So it's about bringing that same kind of order and clarity to your thoughts, to your actions.
Exactly. Vincent says that when you break down these big, complex tasks, or those huge, daunting goals, into smaller, bite-sized pieces, you don't get overwhelmed. You can focus on one thing at a time.
Like eating an elephant one bite at a time. That's how the saying goes, right?
Right. And he applies this to, pretty much everything.
Yeah, he talks about compartmentalizing goals, income streams, investments, even your debt and your network of contacts. It's pretty wide-ranging.
He's really looking at the whole picture. All these different areas, they're connected, sure, but they also need their own separate space, their own management style.
He even talks about, separating the thinking around building wealth versus protecting wealth.
Yeah, that's a really important distinction.
So it's not just one big idea. It's two separate but equally important compartments.
Exactly. He says you got to focus on both sides. Generating income, that's one thing, but then safeguarding what you've already built, that's just as crucial.
It's like having a strong offense and a solid defense in football. You need both to win the game.
Perfect analogy.
So on the building side, that's where you might have those dividend-paying stocks, maybe a side hustle, real estate, like the house hacking we talked about earlier.
All good strategies.
And then on the protection side, that's where you've got your insurance, making sure your investments are diversified, maybe setting up a trust.
All those things that help you sleep better at night.
And remember how Vincent was all about managing debt? Well, he thinks compartmentalizing can help there, too.
It can definitely make things feel less overwhelming.
So would you have, separate compartments for different types of debt, like credit card debt over here, student loans over there?
You could do that, or you could organize by interest rate.
Right.
Focus on paying off the highest ones first, like the avalanche method.
The point is you're breaking it down into smaller pieces, right?
Yep.
Instead of this giant monster of debt, it's like these manageable little hills you can climb.
It's all about making it feel doable.
And getting those small wins. Those can be so motivating.
Definitely. It helps you stay on track, see that you're making progress.
I think this is especially helpful with multiple income streams. So many people these days have a side hustle or freelance work on top of their regular job.
Yeah, the gig economy is booming.
And keeping it all straight can be a challenge.
It can be, yeah.
How can compartmentalizing help with that?
Well, think of it like having separate mental spaces for each income stream. You've got your main job, your side hustle, your investments, and each one gets its own designated time, its own budget, even its own goals.
Okay, so it's not just about the money. It's about how you're thinking about it. Instead of everything all jumbled up, you have a system.
Exactly, like separate little businesses under one roof.
And that probably makes tax time a lot easier, too. Since you need to track everything separately anyway.
Definitely. Organization is key when it comes to taxes.
And you know what? This whole idea, it can even apply to networking.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Vincent talks about having separate compartments for different types of contacts in your network.
Right. You've got your mentors, your peers, your professional connections, the people who can open doors.
Like having a mental Rolodex.
Yeah.
You know exactly who to reach out to for different things.
And it helps you be more intentional about those relationships. Because let's be real, we all have those contacts we haven't talked to in forever.
Guilty as charged.
But with this system, you can stay more organized, proactive about staying in touch.
The people who are really going to help you succeed.
Exactly.
And the coolest thing is Vincent even applies this to, personal well-being.
Yeah, he's not just about the money. He's about living a good life.
He talks about finding that balance between work, family, your health, even personal growth.
It's about the whole picture.
True success isn't just about your bank account, right? It's about feeling happy, fulfilled.
Absolutely.
And that goes back to his whole philosophy of, putting fish back in the lake.
Creating abundance, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you.
It's not just about taking, it's about giving back, making the world a better place.
Using your success to lift others up.
So, for anyone listening, dreaming of that millionaire status, what's the main takeaway from all of this?
I think Vincent's book is more than just financial advice. It's a whole mindset shift, a way of thinking that can help you succeed in all areas of your life. And compartmentalizing, that's a big part of it. It helps you stay focused, organized, keep moving forward.
It's like a blueprint for building a good life, not just wealth. And remember what he said, it's okay to buy that fancy watch, those expensive shoes.
Yeah.
But you gotta have a plan to replace that money right away.
Enjoy the rewards for sure. But don't let those splurges derail your long-term goals.
So as you keep working towards that $1 million dream, ask yourself, what fish do I need to put back in the lake? How can you give back, help others, make a real difference?
Success is a journey, not a destination.
Keep learning, keep growing, and remember, it's about creating abundance for yourself and for everyone around you.
Couldn't say it better myself.
We hope this deep dive has given you the tools and the inspiration to achieve your dreams. Until next time.